All right, we're now in another edition of Ask Marvin, but this is actually our pilot run here for YouTube. This is different from the Facebook Live Ask Marvins that I normally do and the blogs that I would normally write to answer most of your questions. This is something that will be an ongoing thing that I'll do in YouTube because I've seen a lot of requests, a lot of uh, emails that have been sent, and I'm trying to do justice and answer as much as I can because the heart of all of this is similar still to the reason why I write books, the reason why I do seminars, because I really want to see more Filipinos be financially free, and I just hope that the videos that I would create here would really add value to you, that it helps you and brings you closer to your goals of being financially free the soonest possible time. And for those that are investing in the stock market, I hope that the questions that you would ask me and the answers that I would give you is something that would give a greater conviction that you get to trade well and trade smart when it comes to the stocks that you'd like to buy. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the stock market, the best place for you to be in is that you have firm conviction that you know and you know and you know the reason why you're buying a stock and the reason why you want to actually avoid as well. For this pilot run for this edition of Ask Marvin, we'll be going through a question from a Kababayan from Singapore, who's actually an SAP programmer. And unbeknownst to many, I was SAP Basis Administrator also before, and it's just an amazing feeling to see a lot of our Kababayans that are based abroad, who love to actually spend the time to learn, who are actually trying to invest more in themselves and actually taking the time to invest in the markets. And you have to remember this, that for those who are working abroad, you can't stay there forever. You won't be there forever, and you can't work also forever. So we invest, we build as much assets as you can. Jocelyn, you're doing an amazing job there. A lot of the IT people that I've met, they're one of their biggest hindrances. They would always say, Marvin, I'm not really a finance person. I don't know anything about accounting or macroeconomics. I don't know anything about selecting good stocks. But hey, after a few weeks and months of them actually learning and trying it, they're now actually one of the best traders that I've also met. So hey, Jocelyn, kudos to you. I'm so excited that more people in the IT industry and more OFWs, more kababayans abroad are into investing. And by the way, just a quick announcement for those who are in Singapore. I'll be there this November 26 and 27. It will be our normal sessions on technical and fundamental analysis where we teach you how to time the market and actually find good stocks that are actually worth buying and selecting as well. This week I'll be in Sydney, Australia. It will be the first run of Stock Smarts there. So if you have any friends, relatives, or if you're actually from Sydney, I'd like to invite you, come join us for technical and fundamental analysis this October 15 and 16. And for our provincial runs, we'll be having Cebu, Davao, and Iloilo with just 2 weeks intervals spread across. Cebu will be October 28 and 29. Davao will be November 5 and 6. Iloilo will be November 19 and 20. All of them will have technical and fundamental analysis as well. And for our kababayans in Manila, we're closing up our Stock Smart sessions there with technical and fundamental analysis, and with our normal year-end event, we normally have the top 10 stocks for 2017, and which is something that I look forward to each year, where I get to invite a lot of my friends who would share their expertise and their stock picks as well. So that's what I always say. Whatever picks that are there, use those as references. Don't use them as a uh, Bible that you would buy everything just because people would say it. So back to the question, sabi ni Jocelyn, Hi Marvin, I'm one of your followers from Singapore. Can you give me an update on the Shell IPO? Interesting, interesting. Very, 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 very interesting question, Jocelyn. No? First things first, before I answer your question, before I give you an update on what's happening in Shell, before you buy something that's IPO related, I normally tell my clients and people who attend our seminars that you better define first if you're there for actually trading the stock, that you want a quick hit, a quick punt. You just want to ride the wave that as more people are buying it, as it's hyped up, as a lot of people are showing interest in it, you want to be positioned early and then probably sell the stock late, very, very quick, just a few days or just probably in the same day as well? Or are you a person who wants to follow growth and actually want to buy the stock and let it grow for a bit and actually sell it later? Or just probably want to make it trend? Or are you a person who really wants to invest in it and hold on to the stock for the long term? You must define that first before you actually buy a stock. It's easy to buy a stock, it's easy to participate in an IPO, but the reasoning behind why you're doing it is something that you must define. It's something that you must study, and it's something that will prevent you from having a lot of losses later on in the future. Why do I say that? Because the rules for quick trades, the rules for investing, the rules for position trading are all different. Let me give you an example. If you want to buy a stock and just do a quick hit for it, I would suggest that you go for stocks, you go for IPOs that have relatively smaller shares that are sold into the market. Let me give you an example similar to Golden Haven, which was I think a 700 million peso IPO, which is relatively small compared to the bigger ones like GT Capital, Cebu Pacific, which raised relatively times 10 times 20 the amounts that Golden Haven actually raised. But when you look at it, because the shares that were sold were relatively small and the amount raised was small, it was easier for it to move up, which I think in just 1 or 2 days it doubled from 10 to around 20 pesos per share. Looking at the previous stocks in the past that were smaller, case in point, Double Dragon and Surpass, same thing. Small stocks, they moved up relatively at a faster period in time. So the same thing. If you would also compare it to stocks that have relatively bigger sizes like Cemex, it came out almost at the same time as Golden Haven. The difference though is that it was a very, very big IPO. Big IPOs normally take a hard time for it to go up quickly over the short term, but it doesn't mean that it won't go up over the long term. Case in point, GT Capital. GT Capital was one of the biggest IPOs 3 or 4 years ago, but it has more than tripled it from its IPO price. So don't just look at the price, but know why you're actually going to that IPO as well. But if you're there as an investor, you may actually consider also the growth of the company. I'd always tell people who attend our seminars I'm in private clients. I'd always tell them that, hey, if you want to invest, look for the growth. Don't just buy companies that go into an IPO. Don't buy companies that would spend a lot of its money just to pay off debt. You want something that's giving you growth, similar to what happened to Pure Gold. Pure Gold is just continuously expanding, and the proceeds of its 7.2 billion IPO went to expansion of and building of new stores. It went and started an IPO at 12 pesos per share, hit 50 just 3 4 years after. Not bad for a stock that's actually growing for the long term. So as this video ends later on, and as you start to analyze the stock, start to analyze Shell, define first your trading strategy, define your timeline, define the purpose and why you're actually getting Shell. So back to the IPO update. Uh, if you've noticed it, also the market over the past few days started to correct a bit. There's volatility and there's unpredictability. And if there's one thing I know about the market is that it's not a big fan of unpredictability as well. So because of that, Shell has also decided to actually lower its IPO price, for which it was supposed to be at around 90 pesos per share. It now decided to actually drop it lower to around 64 70 pesos per share. This lowers the price that they could actually raise, but it would entice more investors to actually come in. So the 64 to 70 pesos per share is less of a premium from the 90 pesos per share that they were offering initially. So one of the reasons also why they're actually doing it is because that they want to have at least more than 55% ownership, and they don't want the market to have they don't want to lessen their ownership that they're actually holding as well. But this lowers the money that they could raise, which was initially targeted at 27 billion pesos, to just around 17.5 billion at the lower end, to around 19 billion pesos per share. Should it get sold at around 70 pesos per share? For those who are asking, the offer period would be, I believe, the last 2 weeks of October, and then the IPO would be in the first week of November as well. So for those who are participating in IPO for the first time, just wait for your online brokers to give you their notices that you can now actually fill up the forms for it before so that you can actually try it for the first time. If you're just in it for participating, just trying an IPO, I encourage you do it. It's a good experience as well. Uh, I always tell clients, I always tell people that it's nice to earn money in the market, but don't just focus on the earnings. Focus on what you can learn first because it's that learnings that would actually propel you to help you make wise decisions later on in the future. So learn, and if you earn, that's amazing. But use the learnings that you have right now to help you become more profitable in the market for the years to come. Your goal is not just to be profitable today, but your goal is to be profitable repeatedly over and over from now until you hit your goals for whatever you want to use the money in the market with. Another thing about the Shell IPO, an update about it is that instead of selling, I think 300 million shares, they're dropping it to around 270 million shares as well. So smaller amount, smaller shares sold, smaller amount raised, lower IPO price. So if you're a fan of Shell and you have been hell bent of actually buying it, guess what? You get to buy it at a cheaper price. My take on it: there's a lot of variability though in the stock because it's oil. The Philippines doesn't produce it. We import oil, so it's subjected to a lot of the pressures abroad. That's why I'm a big fan of consumption stocks because consumption stocks it's very predictable how they actually earn. I could actually know how where they get their goods as much. Unlike oil, what happens in the Middle East affects the price as well. So um, I'll give you more updates on this over the next few weeks before the IP would come. I'll try to give you more quantitative data in terms of its earnings, in terms of its efficiency, of how it converts its earnings, if it's actually cheap. You have to remember when it comes to IPOs, it doesn't mean that the price is high; it's expensive already. There are other ratios that you can actually check to determine if the stock is actually cheap or expensive as well. So I'll try to do that over the next few weeks. I hope I get to do it. I'll be in Australia though this week, so I'll see how it can actually work as well. What on a macroeconomic perspective, more cars also that's being used in the country will create a bigger demand for gas. So when it comes to investing, it's just a game of supply and demand. More buyers bring the prices up, more sellers bring the prices down. The greater demand for oil here will actually increase the sales also of Shell. Another thing to be interested about is the IPO of Shakey's. It's coming out a few weeks after Shell. So I'll try to give comparisons of it. I'll try to give you uh, more analysis also via this video session. So if you all enjoyed and if you all learned a lot, I hope just keep on sending your questions. Just keep on sending it via marvingurmo.com or my Twitter, which is at Marvin Gurmo, Instagram at Marvin Gurmo, or at my Facebook page, Marvin Gurmo or marvin.gurmo.official. So thank you so much for having me. My goal for this video is so that you get to trade strong, trade well, and trade smart so that every Filipino gets to invest, that we make investing easy for all of you. So that's all the time we have for today. I'll try to do another video tomorrow and have a great one. God bless you and see you all soon.